Hey guys, welcome back to my channel today. In today's video, we are going to be ranking all of the holiday palettes that I have reviewed this year for holiday 2020. Most of these are available at Sephora actually, so that is awesome. And I figured I would get this video up just in time for the Sephora VIB sale, as well as any other holiday gifts you are interested in purchasing for yourself or others this year. A lot of these palettes are great performing palettes, and they do differ by minor things, but we do have a clear favorite and we do have a clear not favorite. But if that is your favorite, that's okay. If you guys want to see how these palettes rank from 15 all the way down to 1, then just keep watching. All right, guys, let's get right on into it with palette number 15. Now, just so you guys know, all of these palettes in this ranking are actually marketed as holiday palettes. There have been a couple palettes that I've picked up in the more recent past that are not actually holiday palettes, like marketed that way, so they're not going to be included in this ranking. The first one, last place. I hate to say it, obviously this is still a good palette. Number 15 goes to Marc Jacobs, the Eye-conic multi-finish palette in 880 Cherrific. Now, this is the color story in this one, you guys. Very nice berry tones. I do think that if you are a Marc Jacobs fan, you will like this palette, but there is one dud in this palette, unfortunately, that I don't think performs as well as the rest of them, and that is this shimmer shade right here. This is one that takes a little bit more building up for a true pigmentation punch. It is one also that I feel like drags slightly in swatch, so it's slightly drier in my opinion. And this I expected a lot more from because it is a shimmer. I wanted it to be really pigment heavy, gorgeous, sparkling along the lid, but I find that I have to work with this quite a bit to get the look I'm after. The rest of the shades though are stunning. This particular purple is one of my absolute favorites, so I'm not mad at it, but this is of course a color story we have seen really throughout this season with the berries. You can see that one matches my top almost like exactly. And this is, like I said, a well-performing palette. Blends well, layers well, great pigmentation with the exception of this guy here, but I find myself grabbing the other palettes a lot more, so this remains in last place. But if you enjoy this palette, like I said, this is going to be a disclaimer throughout the whole video, do enjoy it because it does perform well. Most of the shades, in my opinion, are great. Number 14 is Too Faced Salted Caramel. There's a reason why this is in this place. For me, I do think that these shades are really beautiful, but this is a heavily scented palette, and this is also one that there's one shade in here that's kind of one of those like Too Faced, I don't know, pointless shades. It's this one right here. And, oh, okay, these things like to close on me a lot. This one right here has kind of like a glitter overspray. This is not gonna be something that's gonna last on the lid, nor is it gonna last in pan because it's not like a shimmer shade. It just has like a glitter overlay. Not my favorite shades in these, but Too Faced does tend to include them from time to time in palettes. This, of course, is a good performing palette. I do think that everything blends well and builds up well. All in all, this is a great little palette, but because this color story is really like a lot more fall in my opinion, it's not one that I grab a ton, and the scent actually does get to me after a while. And these two shades here, you can see them, so they're very slight differences in variation. I also think this could have been a bit of a missed opportunity here for Too Faced. They probably could have added another shade in there instead that had a little bit more versatility because they do look pretty similar on the eye, and that's also what makes this palette in 14th place. Number 13 is the Charlotte Tilbury Super Nudes Matte Palette. The reason why it's in 13 is because it's fully matte and because this is a very everyday, plain kind of color story. This isn't one that I grab just by itself at all. Like, it's definitely one that I use an accessory to other palettes. I am one that likes shimmer with my looks. You can see that my eyes are heavily shimmered today. So mattes on their own, to me, they just don't draw me enough. Just a preference thing, but these still perform and blend beautifully. I do think that they do have that nice buildability to them. They blend up into transition into the crease really nicely, but it is a very plain palette. It will cater to those of you that like that kind of thing, and the good news is that the shades do perform. No fallout either, or barely anything, which is great. I just find that when I use this, I do have to use another palette with it, which is a little bit more work. So this to me is, although a good palette, in 13th place. Palette number 12 is this Chanel quad. Now this is from their holiday collection. This is the Les Four Ombres Multi-Effect Quadra eyeshadow in 362 Candeur and Provocation. This is also a very heavily toned berry palette. The reason why this is coming in at number 12 is because this one too, to me, is more of a one and done kind of eyeshadow palette. These shadows do have a very nice sheeniness to them, so it gives that kind of glow to the eye. This is definitely not a bad quad, like at all. I'm just basically ranking this based on like what gives me the most creativity and stuff like that, and what is my favorite. The only thing, definitely scented, and this is one also, you know, we've seen quite a bit of berries, so this is another berry palette, as well as the Marc Jacobs one. We've got quite a few brands releasing these types of tones. Gorgeous for, especially in my opinion, like mature lids or lids with texture. They just glide over and they don't emphasize it, so I do appreciate that as well. It did come with a little brush on the end, and I don't know, like to me it is what it is. I don't really use them, but in a pinch they could be worth having, so a lovely quad, but in number 12. Palette number 11 goes to Tom Ford First Frost. This is the Soleil Neige holiday quad this year. And despite the fact that I love the Tom Ford quads, there's a couple things here that make it rank where it is. Firstly being the packaging is slightly more light in hand compared to his permanent line, as well as the fact that I wish that he would have done a different shade in this quad instead of two very similar shades on the bottom row. They do have similar shifts, one being a little bit lighter and more silver and like taupier, the other one being deeper brown, but they translate very close on the lid, which is why I've ranked it where it is. A missed opportunity here from Tom Ford, but I do think that these beautiful shades, gorgeous cool tones, perfect for holiday. Just like the Chanel, I find that these also work really well for mature lids because I've seen like my grandma wear them and stuff. It looks great on her. I don't think it emphasizes anything. So these do a good job with that kind of thing, but the color story is lovely. Really nice pigmentation, especially that cool top row. I absolutely love this. This is palette number 11. Palette number 10 is a very similar kind of idea to the Tom Ford. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Luxury Palette of Pops. This is her Holiday Pops quad, and this is in Dazzling Diamonds. This is also one I did a full review on, and I think I reviewed all of these palettes at some point, so that's awesome if you want any more details. This one, though, also a bit of a missed opportunity with the right side of this quad. Although they look like they have a distinction, in my opinion, on camera, I do feel like they also are very, very close upon swatch. What I like about this, though, I think in comparison to the Tom Ford, is the Tom Ford is more of like a lighter color story, obviously. This one is more of a deeper color story, so I find I'm grabbing this primarily for the royal blue. I really, really love this quad on me. I just think it emphasizes my dark eyes, and it's definitely a nice palette, which is why I'm keeping it around. However, I do think there's a missed opportunity there, so that's why I've ranked it where it is. This is also an accessory palette because it's pure shimmer toppers from Charlotte Tilbury, and it's definitely gorgeous, but I just wish it had one more differing shade in here. So this is palette number 10. The palette in number 9 position is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. I actually ranked this higher than the Salted Caramel because I do feel like it offers much more of a versatility when it comes to what you can create with this. This one to me, I mean, it's interesting that they call it pumpkin spice because I don't see a ton of pumpkin spice tones, especially some of those lighter shimmery like purples and stuff. That's not what my mind goes to when I think of that kind of a theme, but I'm very thankful that they put some of those different shades in because it greatly increases what you can create with it. This is the best Too Faced formula also, so out of everything Too Faced, I would highly recommend getting something like this if this is what you are wanting. The tin packaging is the best. Definitely stay away from the cardboard packaging because it just doesn't have the same quality to it, usually drier swatches and harder to work with shades. So this does a really great job, you guys. There isn't a dud in here, so I really, really like this palette. This is palette number 9. Palette number 8 comes from one of my favorite brands. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Zendo palette. I describe this one as a mature mini retro palette. The colors in here are stunning. To me, they do have that, you know, she captures that berryness, which is very popular right now, but she also has her own twist with the deep purple and that blue silver. Gorgeous holiday palette, one that I think has a gorgeous consistent formula also. Sometimes if you get a mini palette, it doesn't always work the best. I do find that sometimes the quality can waver, but this mini is absolutely worth getting. And in my opinion, there also isn't a dud in here. So this is number 8 for a reason. I grabbed this one a ton. It is such a good palette for holiday. Palette number 7 also comes from Natasha Denona. This is the Triochrome Natasha Denona full size palette. This is the same size as her Biba palette, her Sunset palette, her Lila palette for reference. I've ranked it where it is because of the quality of this. It's not higher up to my other palettes because of the color story being a little bit off for holiday. In my opinion, this is something that I think could have been maybe released in a spring or like festival time or something like that because of the bright pastel kind of spring colors. I don't see holiday here a ton, but it's ranked where it is because of the consistency and quality of shadows. There are 2 slightly harder shadows to work with. They're on the bottom row, and this one is plutonium, and then this one here being diatonic. Those 2 to me, they dragged a little bit upon swatch, so I was worried they were going to be a bit drier, and they are, but they're still very workable. It's just that compared to the other mattes in here, I do notice a bit of a difference using those 2. The multi-chromes in here too, in my opinion, she calls them multi because they're supposed to shift quite a few different ways, like quite a few different colors. But I think Color Flip is the only one that does that, where it has multiple colors, more than 3. These 2 here, I do think they're more duochrome because they do have 2 prominent shades to them. And then the third or multiple other shades to those 2 are much more subtle. Here they are again, just so you guys can see them. Like this is me just going side to side, which is kind of what you would do, you know, if you wear them. Those first 2, it's really hard to capture more than for the scarab shade, green and gold. And then for the kinetic shade in the middle, more of like a purple blue. Natasha did showcase them a little bit better, but she also made the swatch like this big on the hand, which I don't think is as realistic as if you were to wear it on your eye. So just so you guys know, those 2 are more duochrome, and then this third one has much more of a multi-dimensional kind of effect. I do have a full video on this Triochrome palette if you're interested in more information and details, but this is palette number 7. The next palette is palette number 6, and this is actually the first Pat McGrath Celestial Luxe Quad we're going to be talking about in this ranking. This one is Fleur Fantasia, and out of the 3 quads that are released this year, this I would say I would place in last place, but in the ranking compared to everything else, this is palette number 6. This offers a beautiful kind of springtime color story too, but the quality of these shadows, you guys, is insane. I really like the purpley kind of shade at the top here. It's got to be one of my favorites, but I did rank it where it is because of the Pat McGrath formula and her quality of eyeshadow, because she does provide a extremely beautiful, pigmented, easy to blend product. Out of the 3 of the quads, this is the one I use the least because we're right now in holiday season. This is one though that of course I do still enjoy and still love, and I do recommend getting this one if you're interested. This one is only currently on the Pat McGrath Labs website, so you can't get it at Sephora, unfortunately. This palette has 1 matte and 3 shimmers. This shade right here, I feel like has the most fallout out of the entire quad. The other ones have like minimal to next to no fallout, but this one for some reason here, it's a little bit more textured, a bit more chunky upon swatch as well as working with it, so it does fall a little bit easier. But this one for sure has some gorgeous colors in it. It's definitely one of my favorites, kind of like unicorn vibes. This is palette number 6. Palette number 5 is this one from Pat McGrath. This is also a holiday release from her Celestial Divinity collection. This is called Risque Rose, and this is one that is actually made in Italy. Her Mothership 10-pan palettes with this same lacquer packaging are made in Italy, and they have exceptional quality. For some reason, the Fleur Fantasia, which I just talked about, is made in the States, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, made in the USA with US and imported ingredients. So although it has a really nice matte and shimmer formula from her, it's not the same like Mothership experience compared to this one. But the reason why it's ranked at number 5 is because the last quad to me has a color story that I grab a little bit more. But this is still a beautiful, beautiful quad. I think the 2 right side shades are the closest to her specialty shade formula that I've ever seen from this year's quads. So I do love those. Very, very beautiful shades, you guys. Extremely, extremely creamy. And like I said, out of all of these quads, This is the one that is closest to that mothership experience with those 10 pan palettes compared to the rest. Palette number 4 is the last Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity Luxe Quad this year. This is the Interstellar Icon palette. This is one color story that grabs me the most for holiday. It's winter, it's festive, it's like deep and romantic-y. This is a really, really nice one, and although it doesn't have any of her specialty shades, none of these do actually. The Risque Rose I talked about before has 2 shades that have a very similar creaminess to them, but none of the special shades are in these quads. However, this has next to no fallout, blends really, really well, and is extremely pigmented. They're definitely worth the price point in my opinion, and this one is just so uniquely beautiful and definitely winter vibes. This is palette number 4 because out of the 3 of them, I've been grabbing this one the most. The consistency is great though between all 3, but I do think that this one just stands out for how holiday vibes it is, at least in my opinion. And with brown eyes, these tones pop so beautifully. Definitely why it is palette number 4. Palette number 3 belongs to Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Bejeweled Instant Eye palette. This is her 12 pan holiday palette for this year, and I love the fact that it is broken down into looks for you to grab, so you can just do a look extremely easy. The colors coordinate together, or you can just go off map and do whatever you want or off grid. But I love the color story here. At first I was kind of surprised because normally she goes for a ton more pinks, but I do like that she's got like that pop of berry, which of course we're talking about is a theme this holiday, but she also has those nice gold tones and those brown tones that make this palette a perfect one to transition from day to night. The formula in here is super creamy, especially when wet. It has a really nice like metallic, smoothing, creamy finish. I just love this palette. I think she did a great job with it. These are always palettes I look forward to year over year, and the quality has not disappointed me. So this is palette number 3. Bet you guys are wondering what the last 2 palettes are. Do make a guess down below. I'm super curious if you know what are the last 2 palettes that are my absolute favorites for this ranking. Palette number 2 is the Pat McGrath Celestial Divinity Big Mega Mothership palette. Now, I will say that the only downside about this is the packaging, because I do prefer the lacquer packaging. But the reason why she did this cardboard packaging is because she could then offer all of these shades and not have to charge you an arm and a leg for it. So I really like that she did that. But this is a beautiful, extremely colorful palette, and I know a lot of people use this palette in collaboration with the Triochrome palette also because it has more mattes and this one has more shimmers, so that's a good option if you want both of those. But I love the fact that even though this doesn't have special shades in here, there are the Star Wars collection shades in here. So if you missed out on the Star Wars palettes, they are in here. I love the fact that these are still super pigmented. This is very holiday to me too. You can go so many different directions with this palette. So definitely why this is a number 2. I've been wearing this nonstop and these last all day long. All right, guys, the moment we've all been waiting for, which is which palette is in number 1 spot. Just a quick hint, it is the palette I am wearing on my eyes today. Not only is this super gorgeous, the formula is insane, it is very festive, a new formula from her also, and this is an extremely easy to put a look together, and I just don't think you can mess this up because these shades blend themselves. This is the Luxury Eye Palette from Charlotte Tilbury in Fire Rose. This is finally available, so I will leave that link in the description box. I got this a little bit early and I was very excited to review it pretty fast. This is one that has blown me away. It's definitely, in my opinion, a true holiday palette. We have tons of beautiful shimmers in here. There are 3 shimmers and 1 matte. This matte actually is kind of like a burgundy matte. It's a little bit more of a brown tone compared to my shirt, but this is so stunning. It is the look I'm wearing on my eyes today, and I do have every single shade on my eye. The only thing I will let you guys know about is the pop shade this year is right here, and this one, because it has a bit more of a texture to it, a bit more of a weight to it, because it has like kind of gold flakes, it does tend to fall a little bit on your face when you're applying it, so do make sure you do your eyes first. But this is the one palette that I would recommend to you if you just want to buy one. This is the one to get because you will be so amazed by it. It is such a good palette, and I actually really love Charlotte Tilbury. I love the brand as a whole. Most of the things have really worked well for me, but this is one that has just exponentially blown me away, and I really hope she does more of these quads with this formula because it's so ultra creamy that Like I said, they blend themselves and it just looks like an expert did it. I absolutely love this palette. This is palette number 1. What do you guys think of this ranking today? Do you want other ranking style videos? I did do the best I could and I stand by my ranking. These are all amazing products. Until my next one, guys, take care, stay safe. Bye, guys.
You and me, everything that we've been through has made us strong. You won't believe we've had our gray, but somewhere there's a light inside of us.